Farvardeen Yast. The Farvasha is the inner power in every being that maintains it and makes it grow and subsist. Originally, the Farvashas were the same as the Pitris of the Hindus, or the Manas of the Latins, that is to say, the everlasting and deified souls of the dead. See 45 to 52. But in the course of time, and they gained a wider domain. Not only men, but the spiritual entities and even physical objects like the sky and the earth, 85 to 96. And each had a Farvasha. Even Ormazd, God, and Ahriman in 111 to 113 are listed as, having a Farvasha. And this is, understandably, is this the largest Yast? And certainly people treat things as gods and goddesses, but nothing, whether they admit to it or not. A lot of this, we don't worship it, we respect it. It's like, okay, and further confusion on their part. But Mazda Yasna Zarathustra. So originally only God was to be prayed to and all that, and over time people, decided other things. This Yast is to be divided into two parts. The former part, 1 through 84, is a glorification of the powers and attributes of the Farvashas in general. The latter part, 85 to 158, is an enumeration of the Farvashas of the most celebrated heroes of Mazdaism, from the first man, Gaya Maratan, down to the last, Saoshant. This latter part is like a Homer's catalogue of Mazdaism. The greatest part of the historical legends of Iran lies here condensed into a register of proper names. This enumeration is divided into 7 chapters. The first, 24, is 85 to 95, and it contains the names of several entities. What he translates as God, perhaps they're translating the same word that we'd say the light beings and the fire beings, the Ahuras and Yazatas and all that on one side, and the Evas and the Divs and all that on the other. The first man, Gaya Maratan, the first lawgiver, or at least the lawgiver of the dispensation that's at least being represented in all these Yasts and such. Zarathustra and his first disciple, Ma'edyo Ma'unga. The second part, 25, verses 96 to 110, contain the names of the disciples of Zarathustra, most of them belonging to the epical cyclus of Vistaspa Gustasp. The third part, 26, 111 to 117, is of a certain character and no name contained in it is found in the epical legends. The fourth part, 27, is verses 118 to 128, and it seems to be devoted to the heroes of the other Karshvaras, the continents, and to mythical beings, born or unborn. Verse 121, 122, 127, 128. The fifth part 28, is verse 129, is devoted to Saoshant alone. The sixth part, 29, 130 to 138, is devoted to the heroes before the time of Zarathustra. The seventh part, 30, is verses 139 to 142. It's devoted to the holy women of Mazdaism, from Havove, Zarathustra's wife, down to Srutat Vedra. Vengo Vedra. and Ered Vedra, the future mothers of his 3 unborn sons. So we're talking about a term here. The second, third, and fourth enumerations all end with the name of Astvat Evreta, that is to say, Saoshant, which shows that they do not refer to successive generations, but to 3 independent branches, which are each developed apart down to the time of the Savior. Now, Savior as in not in the Christian sense, as we see somebody who saves. It's like Zarathustra was a savior, but there wasn't any vicarious stuff going on there. 0. May Ahura Mazda be rejoiced. Asham Bahu. Holiness is the best of all good. I confess myself a Mazda worshipper, a follower. May her Mazda be rejoiced, and so on. Holiness is the best of all good, and so on. A follower of Zarathustra, one who hates the Da'avas and obeys the laws of Ahura, for sacrifice, prayer, propitiation, and glorification unto Athena, the holy and master of holiness, unto the awful, overpowering, vivacious of the next of kin, be propitiation with sacrifice, prayer, propitiation, and glorification. Yapa ahu va'iryo, the will of the Lord is the law of holiness, and so on. Part 1. Compromises verses 1 through 19. 1. Ahura Mazda spake unto Spitama Zarathustra, saying, Do thou proclaim, O pure Zarathustra, the vigor and strength, the glory, the help, and the joy that are in the vivacious of the faithful, the awful, overpowering vivacious. Do thou tell how they come to help me, how they bring assistance unto me, the awful vivacious of the faithful. 2. Through their brightness and glory, O Zarathustra, I maintain that sky there above, shining and seen afar, and encompassing this earth all around. 3. It looks like a palace that stands built of heavenly substance, firmly established, with ends that lie afar, shining in its body of ruby over the 3/3 of the earth. It is like a garment inlaid with stars, made of a heavenly substance, that Mazda puts on, along with Mithra and Rashnu, and Spenta Armaite, and on no side can the eye perceive the end of it. 4. Through their brightness and glory, O Zarathustra, I maintain the Arve Sara Anahita, the wide, expanding, and health-giving, who hates the Da'avas and obeys the laws of Ahura, who is worthy of sacrifice in the material world, worthy of prayer in the material world, the life increasing and holy, the flocks increasing and holy, the fold increasing and holy, the wealth increasing and holy, the country increasing and holy. 5. Who makes the seed of all males pure, who makes the womb of all females pure for bringing forth, who makes all females bring forth in safety, who puts milk in the breasts of all females in the right measure and the right quantity. 6. The large river known afar, that is as large as the whole of all the waters that run along the earth, that runs powerfully from the height Huka Iria down to the sea, Va'urukasha. 7. All the shores of the sea, Va'urukasha, are boiling over. All the middle of it is boiling over. When she runs down there, when she streams down there, she, Ardve Sura Anahita, who has 1,000 cells and 1,000 channels. The extent of each of those cells, of each of those channels, is as much as a man can ride in 40 days, riding on a good horse. 8. From this river of mine alone flow all the waters that spread all over the 7 Karshvaras. This river of mine alone goes on bringing waters, both in summer and in winter. This river of mine purifies the seed in males, the womb in females, the milk in females' breasts. 9. Through their brightness and glory, O Zarathustra, I maintain the wide earth made by Ahura, the large and broad earth that bears so much that it is fine, that bears all the bodily world, the live and the dead, and the high mountains, rich in pastures and waters. 10. Upon which run the many streams and rivers, upon the many kinds of plants grow up from the ground, to nourish animals and men, to nourish the Aryan nations, to nourish the 5 kinds of animals, and to help the faithful. 11. Through the brightness and glory of Zarathustra, I maintain in the womb the child that has been conceived, so that it does not die from the assaults of Vidatu, and I develop in it the bones and the hair, the entrails, the feet, and the sexual organs. 12. Had not the awful Farvardeen of the faithful given help unto me, those animals and men of mine, of which there are such excellent kinds, would not subsist, strength would belong to the Droog, the dominion would belong to the Droog, the material world would belong to the Droog. 13. Between the earth and the sky, the immaterial creatures would be harassed by the Droog. Between the earth and the sky, the immaterial creatures would be smitten by the Droog, and ever afterwards would Angra Ma'inu give way to the blows of Spenta Ma'inu. 14. Through their brightness and glory, the waters run and flow forward from the never failing springs. Through their brightness and glory, the plants grow up from the earth by the never failing springs. Through the brightness and glory, the winds blow, driving down the clouds towards the never failing springs. 15. Through the brightness and glory, the females conceive offspring. Through the brightness and glory, they bring forth in safety. It is through their brightness and glory when they become blessed with children. 16. Through the brightness and glory, a man is born, who is a chief in assemblies and meetings, who listens well to the holy words, whom wisdom holds dear, and who returns a victor from discussions with Gautama the heretic. Through the brightness and glory, the sun goes his way. Through the brightness and glory, the moon goes her way. Through the brightness and glory, the stars go their way. 17. In fearful battles, they are the wisest for help, the Farvardeen of the faithful. The most powerful among the Farvardeen of the faithful, O Spitama, are those of the men of the primitive law, are those of the Sa'ashants, not yet born, who are to restore the world. Of others, the Farvardeen of the living are more powerful, O Zarathustra, than those of the dead, O Spitama. And the man who in life shall treat the Farvardeen of the faithful well will become a ruler of the country with full power, and a chief most strong. So shall any man of you become. He shall treat Mithra well, the Lord of wide pastures, and Arstat, who makes the world grow, who makes the world increase. 19. Thus do I proclaim unto thee, O pure Spitama, the vigor and strength and glory, the help and the joy that are in the Farvardeen of the faithful, the awful and overpowering Farvardeen, and how they come to help me, how they bring assistance unto me, the awful Farvardeen of the faithful. Part 2 is 20 to 25. Ahura Mazda spake unto Spitama Zarathustra, saying, If in this material world, O Spitama Zarathustra, thou happenest to come upon frightful roads, full of dangers and fears, O Zarathustra, and thou fearest for thyself, then do thou recite these words, then proclaim these fiend-smiting words, O Zarathustra. 21. I praise, I invoke, I meditate upon, and we sacrifice unto the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful. We worship the Farvardeen of the masters of the houses, those of the lords of the boroughs, those of the lords of the towns, those of the lords of the countries, those of the Zarathustrotemas. You know, the moped. The Farvardeen of those that are, the Farvardeen of those that have been, the Farvardeen of those that will be, all the Farvardeen of all nations, and most friendly the Farvardeen of the friendly nations. 22. Who maintained the sky, who maintained the waters, who maintained the earth, who maintained the cattle, who maintained the womb, the child that has been conceived, so that it does not die from the assaults of Vidatu, and develop in it the bones, the hair, the entrails, the feet, and the sexual organs. 23. Who are much bringing, who move with awfulness, well-moving, swift-moving, quick-moving, who move when invoked, who are to be invoked in the conquest of good, who are to be invoked in fights against the foes, who are to be invoked in battles. 24. Who give victory to their invoker, who give boons to their lover, who give, we're not promoting fornication or anything here, who give health to the sick man, who give good glory to the faithful man that brings libations and invokes them with the sacrifice and words of propitiation. 25. Who turn to that side where there are faithful men, most devoted to holiness, and where there is the greatest piety, where the faithful man is rejoiced, and where the faithful man is not ill-treated. 3 is 26 through 29. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who are the mightiest of drivers, the lightest of those driving forwards, the slowest of the retiring, the safest of all bridges, the least erring of all weapons and arms, and who never turn their backs. 27. At once, whatever they come, we worship them, the good ones, the excellent ones, the good, the strong, the beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, that are to be invoked when the bundles of Barisma are tied. They are to be invoked in fights against foes and battles, and they are gallant men who strive to conquer foes. Mentioning, perhaps aligning with their authority originally, rather than the worshiping them as guardian angels or guardian spirits or whatever. But 28. Mazda invoke them for help. When he fixed the sky and the waters, and the earth, and the plants. When Spenta Inu fixed the sky, when he fixed the waters, when the earth, when the cattle, when the plants, when the child conceived in the womb, so that it should not die from the assaults of Vidotu, and developed in it the bones, the hair, the entrails, the feet, and the sexual organs. 29. Spenta Inu maintained the sky, and they sustained it from below. They, the strong Farvardeen, who sit in silence, gazing with sharp looks, whose eyes and ears are powerful, who bring long joy, high and high-girded, well-moving and moving afar, loud snorting, possessing riches and a high renown. Part 4 is just verse 30. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, whose friendship is good and who know how to benefit, whose friendship lasts long, who like to stay in the abode where they are not harmed by its dwellers, who are good, beautiful afar, health-giving, of high renown, conquering in battle, and who never do harm first. Again, this might originally have been something to the effect of mentioning respectfully. Part 5 is only verse 31. We worship with the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, whose will is dreadful unto those who vex them, powerfully working and most beneficent, who in battle break the dread arms of their foes and haters. Now, some of the Persian, Iranian, and Hindu words for what we have listed as worship is really just bringing to mind, so you're remembering something. 6 is only verse 32. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, liberal, valiant, and full of strength, not to be seized by thought, welfare-giving, kind, and health-giving, falling with ashes remedies, as far as the earth extends, as the rivers stretch, as the sun rises. 7 is 33 and 34. 33. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who gallantly and bravely fight, causing havoc, wounding, breaking to pieces all the malice of the malicious, Devas and men, and smiting powerfully in battle, at their wish and will. 34. You kindly deliver the victory made by Hura, and the crushing ascended most beneficently to those countries where you, the good ones, unharmed and rejoiced, unoppressed and unoffended, have been held worthy of sacrifice and prayer, and proceed the way of your wish. Part 8, 35. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, of high renown, smiting battle, most strong, shield-bearing, and harmless to those that are true, whom both the pursuing and the fleeing invoke for help. The pursuer invokes them for a swift race, and for a swift race does the fleer invoke them. Part 8, 35 and 36. Okay. 36. Who turn to that side where are faithful men most devoted to holiness, and where there is the greatest piety, where the faithful man is rejoiced, and where the faithful man is not ill-treated. 9 is 37 and 38. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who form many battalions, girded with weapons, lifting up spears and full of sheen, who, in fearful battles, come rushing along, where the gallant heroes go and assail the Danas. 38. There you destroy the victorious strength of the Turanian Danus. There you destroy the malice of the Turanian Danus. Through you, the chiefs are of high intellect and most successful. They, the gallant heroes, are the gallant Sirozahs, the gallant conquerors of the offspring of the Danas, chiefs of myriads, who wound with stones. 10 is 39. We worship the good and strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who rout the two wings of an army, standing in battle array, who make the center swerve, and swiftly pursue onwards to help the faithful, and to distress the doers of evil deeds. 11 is 44. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, awful, overpowering, victorious, smiting battle, sorely wounding, blowing away the foes, moving along to and fro, of good renown, fair of body, godly of soul, and holy, who give victory to their invoker, who give boons to their lover, who give health to the sick man. So, lover as somebody who loves, not, 41. Who give good glory to him who worships them with the sacrifice, as that man did worship them. The holy Zarathustra, the chief of the material world, the head of the two-footed race, in whatever struggle he had to enter, in whatever distress he did fear. 42. Who, when well invoked, enjoy bliss in the heavens, who, when well invoked, come forward from the heavens, who are the heads of that sky above, possessing the well-shapen strength, the victory made by Ahura, the crushing ascendant, and welfare, the wealth-bringing, boon-bringing, holy, well-fed, worthy of sacrifice and prayer, in the perfection of holiness. 43. They shed Sirozahs between the earth and the sky, him to whom the waters belong, who listens to appeals and makes the waters flow, and the plants grow up to nourish animals and men, to nourish the Aryan nations, to nourish the 5 kinds of animals, and to help the faithful. 44. Sirozahs comes down, and flows between the earth and the sky, he to whom the waters belong, who listens to the appeals, and makes the waters and the plants grow up, fair, radiant, and full of light, to nourish animals and men, to nourish the Aryan nations, to nourish the 5 kinds of animals, and to help the faithful. Part 12 is 45 to 48. 45. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, with helms of brass, with weapons of brass, with armor of brass, who struggle in the fights for victory in garments of light, arraying in battles and bringing them forwards to kill thousands of us, when the wind blows from behind them and brings their breath unto men. 46. Then men know where blows the breath of victory, and they pay pious homage unto the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, with their hearts prepared and their arms uplifted. 47. Whichever side they have been first worshipped in the fullness of faith, of a devout heart, or perhaps those who've joined the same side, to that side turn the awful Farvardeen of the faithful, along with Mithra and Rashnu, and the awful cursing thought of the wise and the victorious wind. 48. And those nations are smitten at one stroke by their 50s, and their hundreds by their hundreds, and their thousands by their thousands, and their tens of thousands by their tens of thousands, and their myriads of myriads, against which turned the awful Farvardeen of the faithful, along with Mithra and Rashnu, and the awful cursing thought of the wise and the victorious wind. Part 13 compromises 49 to 52. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who come and go through the burrow at the time of the Hamas Pathmaedda. They go along there for 10 nights, asking thus. 50. Who will praise us? Who will offer us a sacrifice? Who will meditate upon us? Who will bless us? Who will receive us with meat and clothes in his hand, and with a prayer worthy of bliss? Of which of us will the name be taken for invocation? Of which of you will the soul be worshipped by you with a sacrifice? To whom will this gift of ours be given, that he may have never failing food forever and ever? 51. And the man who offers them up a sacrifice with meat and clothes in his hand, with a prayer worthy of bliss, the awful Farvardeen of the faithful, satisfied, unharmed, and unoffended, bless thus. 52. May there be in this house flocks of animals and men. May there be a swift horse and a solid chariot. May there be a man who knows how to praise God and rule in an assembly, who will offer us sacrifices with meat and clothes in his hand, and with a prayer worthy of bliss. Part 14 is 53 and 54. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who show beautiful paths to the waters, made by Mazda, which had stood before for a long time in the same place without flowing. 54. And now they flow along the path made by Mazda, along the way made by the spiritual entities, the watery way appointed to them, at the wish of Ahura Mazda, at the wish of the Ameshasmetas. Now, I mentioned another thing about the watery way, how this is metaphorical and broader sort of reference. Part 15 is 55 and 56. 55. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who show a beautiful growth to the fertile plants, which had stood before for a long time in the same place without growing. 56. And now they grow up along the path made by Mazda, along the way made by the spiritual entities, in the time appointed to them, at the wish of Ahura Mazda, at the wish of the Ameshasmetas. Part 16 is 57 and 58. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who showed their paths to the stars, the moon, the sun, and the endless lights that had stood before a long time in the same place without moving forwards through the oppression of the Da'avas and the assaults of the Da'avas. 58. And now they move around in their far revolving circle forever, till they come to the time of the good restoration of the world. Part 17 is verse 59. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who watch over the bright sea of Urukasha, to the number of 90,000 and 9,999. Part 18 is verse 60. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who watch over the stars Hapto Iringa, to the number of 90,000 and 9,999. So 9999, Part 19 is verse 61. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who watch over the body of Karasaspa, the son of Sama, the club-bearer with plaited hair, to the number of 90,000 and 9,999. 20 is verse 62. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who watch over the seed of the holy Zarathustra, to the number of 90,000 and 9,999. 31 is 63. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who fight at the right hand of the reigning Lord, if he rejoices the faithful, and if the awful Farvardeen of the faithful are not hurt by him, if they rejoice by him unharmed and unoffended. Part 22 is 64 to 81. 64. We worship the good, strong, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, who are greater, who are stronger, who are swifter, who are more powerful, who are more victorious, who are more healing, who are more effective than can be expressed by words, who run by tens of thousands into the midst of the Nyayis. 65. And when the waters come up from the sea of Orukasha, O Spitma Zarathustra, along with the glory made by Mazda, then forwards comes the awful Farvardeen of the faithful, many and many hundreds, many and many thousands, many and many tens of thousands. 66. Seeking water for their own kindred, for their own borough, for their own town, for their own country, and saying thus, may our own country have a good store and full joy. 67. And they fight in the battles that are fought in their own place and land, each according to the place and house where he dwelt of yore. They look like a gallant warrior who girded up and watchful, watches for the hoard he has treasured up. 68. And those of them who win bring waters to their own kindred, to their own borough, to their own town, to their own country, saying thus, and may country grow and increase. 69. And when the all-powerful sovereign of a country has been surprised by his foes and haters, he invokes them, the awful Farvardeen of the faithful. 70. And they come to his help, if they have not been hurt by him, if they have been rejoiced by him, if they have not been harmed nor offended, the awful Farvardeen of the faithful, they come flying unto him. It seems as if they were well-winged birds. You gotta be careful of that memory of stuff, right? 71. They come in as a weapon and as a shield to keep him behind and to keep him in front, from the Drug unseen, from the female Virenia fiend, from the evildoer bent on mischief, and from that fiend who is all death, Engrab in you. It will be as if there were 1,000 men watching over one man. 72. So that neither the sword well thrust, neither the club well falling, nor the arrow well shot, nor the spear well darted, nor the stones flung from the arrow shall destroy him. 73. They come and sit on his side. They come on that side, never resting, the good and powerful, beneficent Farvardeen of the faithful, asking for help thus. Who will praise us? Who will offer us a sacrifice? Who will meditate upon us? Who will bless us? Who will receive us with meat and clothes in his hand, and with a prayer worthy of bliss? Of which of us will the name be taken for invocation? Of which of you will the soul be worshipped by you with sacrifice? To whom will that gift of ours be given, that he may have never failing food forever and ever? And so we're going to stop right there, and we'll get back to the other verses another time.